Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Miami Dolphins versus Atlanta Falcons Week 6 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, it'll always be pretty fluid each week. However, there will always be little nuggets of data that become bigger nuggets of data as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you are new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So with this particular game of the Dolphins versus the Falcons, pretty much the data, I wouldn't say overwhelmingly, but the data pretty much is in favor of the Falcons. So let's get into some reasons why. So when you look at the total D score, which is the defense's ability to prevent first downs, Falcons are favored in that respect. When you look at the total O score, which is the ability for the offense to create first downs, pretty much favors the Falcons. Then, of course, when you look at offensive score percentage, heavily favors the Falcons. I mean, the Dolphins' offensive score percentage this year has been dreadful in terms of their ability to score on every single drive compared to the Falcons. And it is important to note that, Julio Jones, is not, it's going to be a different looking offense, obviously, because of Julio Jones and all the other kind of factors as well. But even though they might miss a step, there's such a big difference between the Dolphins offense in terms of scoring versus the Falcons offense in terms of scoring, that it just favors the Falcons for that respect. Even if the Falcons offense is cut in half in terms of its efficiency, they still would have a pretty decent shot of beating this Dolphins team, despite some of those issues. And then, of course, when you look at turnover ratio, surprisingly, the Dolphins are a little bit better when it comes to not turning the football over compared to the Falcons, who are a little bit below average compared to the rest of the NFL. Then, of course, you look at sack percentage. The Dolphins allow more sacks compared to the Falcons. Defensive score percentage is mostly favors the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins do have a better defense when it comes to preventing points compared to the Falcons. But sack percentage is pretty much in favor of the Falcons, slightly over the Dolphins. But turnovers, both these teams, not that great when it comes to creating turnovers. So those are some big things to kind of follow overall, is that the Falcons don't really create a lot of turnovers on defense, and the Dolphins don't really create a lot of turnovers on defense either. Special teams wise, though, favors the Falcons. The Falcons have better punt return yardage. The Falcons also have better kick return yardage. In terms of preventing punt return and kick return yardage, though, the Dolphins are better from that respect. So defensively, preventing punt return yardage and preventing kick return yardage is more so with the Dolphins. Field goal percentage is pretty much the same between both these teams. Extra point percentage is more so with the Falcons. Punting average is more so with the Dolphins. But again, overall, the data mostly favors the Falcons in this matchup, mainly because of how good their offense has been in terms of scoring, because of some of the special teams advantages here and there, and those other sort of factors. So, and also the Dolphins just haven't really been playing that well as a team. So this is kind of why the Falcons are favored in this particular matchup in terms of the basic NFL stat comparisons. Then, of course, we look at some other sort of factors. So looking at completion percentage, I'm not going to spend too much time on completion percentage, but this is the Falcons' offense in terms of completion percentage compared to the Dolphins' defense in terms of preventing completion percentage. And overwhelmingly, the Falcons just have advantages here. Then, of course, when you look at the Dolphins' offense versus the Falcons' defense when it comes to completion percentage, some advantages on second down for the Dolphins. That's the only area of that's the only down where the Dolphins are actually better or good in terms of completion percentage. But they still have lots of issues in terms of first down and third down, especially first down. Then when you look at running or rushing offense, so the Falcons' rushing offense versus the Dolphins' rushing defense, mostly favors the Falcons' offense over the Dolphins' defense. But there is some, like third down especially, is where there is kind of an even matchup. This is actually a fun matchup to see what happens, because pretty evenly matched on third down. The Dolphins are the best in terms of third down rushing defense, and the Falcons are the best in terms of third down rushing offense. So as you can see, that's pretty much a clash of ideas, I guess. So that's definitely going to be a fun matchup to watch. Then, of course, you look at the Dolphins' offense versus the Falcons' defense when it comes to rushing ability, and mostly favors the Falcons' defense, except for third down. The Falcons are the worst defense in the NFL when it comes to preventing first downs on third down. So that's going to be another matchup to kind of see what happens in terms of outcomes in the game. Then when you look at passing down, so this is a big deal. Passing downs are a huge factor to consider because most of the time if you're better at passing, you win games from a statistical standpoint. And the Falcons have advantages in terms of first down, second down, especially. Third down is where the Dolphins have somewhat of an advantage. So another matchup to see what happens. Third down passing offense, another sort of factor to kind of consider. Then, of course, you look at the Dolphins' offense versus the Falcons' defense. The only area that the Dolphins actually do well is what they do best at, which is second down completion percentage. But first down, worse than the NFL in terms of converting on first down. Worse than the NFL when it comes to converting on third down. So again, it just favors the Falcons' defense when it comes to first down, third down situations. When it comes to the pass. Then when we get to sack rate, so the Falcons' offense in terms of preventing sacks versus the Dolphins, key matchup, third down. The Dolphins' defense creates most of its sacks, the majority of its sacks on third down, and the Falcons give up most of their sacks on third down. So another big matchup to kind of see, crucial matchup to see what happens. Then, of course, you look at the Dolphins' offense versus the Falcons' defense. Pretty much favors the Falcons. It's pretty even, second down there's a big disparity, but I would say the Falcons do have this advantage just because the Dolphins are the worst offense in the NFL when it comes to preventing sacks on third down. So the Falcons will have some chances to get sacks in this game based on how they've been performing over the last couple weeks. Then we look at interception ratio. So this is the Falcons offense versus the Dolphins defense when it comes to interception ratio. And the Falcons have had their fair share of throwing picks this year. But the Dolphins have not created any picks. Like, they have 0 interceptions this year as a defense. So I don't know how much this will actually factor into things. But this is just something to kind of think about because of that. Again, the Falcons they've had issues with picks, but they're going up against a defense that just doesn't create a lot of picks, or has not got any interception this year. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to see what ultimately happens because of that. Then, of course, we look at the interception ratio of the Dolphins versus the Falcons defense, and pretty much in favor of the Falcons defense, except for third down situations. Most of the interceptions the Dolphins have thrown have been in first down and second down situations, not so much on third down. So the Falcons will have some chances here and there, but this is kind of how things shake out for them as well when it comes to interceptions. So overall, how do I feel about this particular game? Well, I still think the Falcons win this game. I do understand the fact that they're going to come in kind of limping a bit. They're kind of banged up. They've had some offensive injuries. They've obviously had some skill position injuries. So there's lots of different factors to consider in this particular game. And I do think the Dolphins defense has some things it does really well, but it's like this. They have a really good rushing defense, and they have a passing defense that it just gives it up. So, you're going to win more football games in the NFL if you have a really good passing defense and a really meh running defense. So, I understand why people might praise the Dolphins defense because of the stopping the run ability, but stopping the run really doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So, again, ultimately I go Falcons. I do think there is some chance. I mean, there's just some things on paper where I go, even though the Falcons haven't got interception yet, even though the Falcons haven't, gotten certain things yet, I think there is a chance that they could get their stuff together this week and get a win against kind of a banged-up Falcons team, but I just don't see it. So ultimately, I have to go Falcons here. Of course, you can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.